Hi, I'm Dr Vivek Arunachalam. Welcome to the Diplomatic Notes. I would appreciate you to watch, like and subscribe this videos. Thank you. The book which you have published, which is called as the Curating Capitalism.
And being into the luxury sector for an industry is something that has become extremely attractive. And when you try to find, they are interested in works that have a soul, you can say, and they are prepared actually to save up for this. Yeah, but he didn't want to speak about strategy. What did he say? People just spent a day together with me. Yeah, I did. And the strange thing, all the time he was talking to me about Marcel Duchamp, French Dadaist.
Because when you were explaining me, there were many cases which were running behind my mind because I remember one of my students, I gave her a project to start up a business, and so we are here at the 2024 Graz European Cultural Parliament's event, and I have with me Professor Pierre.
Pierre.
And we're going to discuss quite a lot about many things, but then first to begin with the book which you have published, which is called as the Curating Capitalism, How Art Impacts Business, Management and Economy. And this book especially focuses on experiments in art and capitalism, volume 3. To begin with, Pierre, one of the things which I have been, in fact, talking, and even we had this conversation in this, is that art is beautiful, but still, at some point of time, artists are really struggling now when it comes to making money out of this, because art is beautiful. But art needs a support, because we live in times where business has to be, there is a perspective of business into everything. That's the impact of capitalism. So where does art and the true artists who are most passionate, soulful thinkers blend this with the impact of money and capitalism?
That's exactly what I'm working on. That's why I liked so much when you were speaking about this. Because you were mentioning that business has to be taken into account for in the art world and for the artists and people interested in this. I would turn it around and say that actually what's happening now is that business realizes that art has a force. So they are in many cases they are attracted by artists and attracted by art. To get art to come into the production, into the strategic considerations, into the way you develop business. And in that sense, it is not a matter of supporting, like through subsidies or, donations or mecenes or patrons. It is actually joining, having a partnership with artists in business, meaning a mutual kind of respect. So you are not talking to an artist like you talk to a consultant, and you're not buying a service like you buy a design. Design and art is different. But what the interest is today is to find out, how do you relate to art and artists when you are in business? And I'm giving courses on that in the Stockholm School of Economics. And there's a big interest in this.
Now, most of these platforms which are coming out from the American originated.
Yes.
It could be the internet industry, which is controlled by the American industries. Mm-hmm. It could be from the Netflix to the Amazon Primes to the Disneys to, once again, if you notice. So in this, if you notice, the European artists still have a second preference as compared to those from the American perspective. How would you say
No, that is why this European Cultural Parliament, that's why we take part in it, or me at least, and many I know here, because the European situation has been exceptional. It has been looked upon as a little backward and, anti-tech maybe, or something like that. Things are happening today, and when I'm giving my course in art, I call the course Art and Luxury. Why? Because the luxury business And being into the luxury sector for an industry is something that has become extremely attractive. And when you try to find out globally, in India, wherever you are, how shall I get into the luxury sector? What you do usually is you have some kind of cases, and they are usually European. So the luxury is a very profitable business, where actually the development of products, ways of consuming, ways of communicating is directly influenced by art and artists, and not by designers or advertisers or tech people and so on. So actually, you may say that the luxury sector is not enormous, but it is actually the second richest man in the world. The first one is Elon Musk. We know what he's up to. Huh? And the second one is Bernard Arnault, LVMH,
Yes.
a big consortium for luxury globally.
Yes, I do not deny this. Because,
No.
Because I'll tell you why I do not deny this. Back then, I also had I proposed a kind of research to London School of Economics on the luxury industry. But in that particular research, also I proposed one thing. Luxury industry cannot be available for everybody. That's when, if you notice, the luxury is luxury.
No. But this is the kind of idea that mass marketing is very good for democracy, okay? And of course it is. It provides products to a reasonable price for as many people as you can. Huh? But there is another thing too. For instance, when I have my course in luxury, I have the students taking, and they are students, they are not rich. Some of them are maybe rich, but very few. They are students earning much less than we are doing. What happens is that they are interested in crafted work. They are interested in works that have a soul, you can say, and they are prepared actually to save up for this. So instead, of doing as a middle-class consumer in Europe, buying, 3 suits from H&M, they are prepared to save up for 2-3 years to get a crafted jacket because they have met the tailor. They have seen the people doing the jewelry. They have seen the craftsmen working on this. And they think it's worthwhile to save up and get one piece. And, of course, there is a sustainability argument in this, because you don't consume as much. Mass consumption will know what that has led to. So I would say this is an old-fashioned kind of fake democratic argument against art.
Professor, if I'm just asking you one of the things, don't you think, sir, in these times, the Chinese production has created this mass markets because of the low-cost production, and thereby the luxury products cannot really compete with the low-end products which are coming in. So, for example, I was just seeing the watch called as Jacob & Co.
Yeah, but
but then, I find the same Jacob & Co. Counterfeited product, 1,000 euros, which is coming down from the Chinese manufactured ones, which are being diffused around. And at times when we don't have jobs and unemployment, which is quite on the rise around the world, don't you think so that the luxury industry and the art industry would shrink its market share from what it was before 20 years or something?
It's actually expanding. And in fact, it's expanding through the luxury market thing. It's getting global, and you can say that maybe that's not so. I'm waiting for when actually Chinese, Indian, and so on. Let's look at Indian art, contemporary art. Janusz Kapir, and they are getting, all these people are getting very, very popular, and people in Europe are looking for contemporary art outside of Europe. Now, the next step is that Indian luxury industry develops with Indian ideas and Indian crafts. I just went to Japan. Huh? Japan is a complex situation because the Japanese have very nice things, but they like to keep it for themselves. They are not so interested in selling, Japanese crafts to me and you, because they are looking at their heritage as something of their own. But they have fantastic stuff, and they have an enormous problem in finding people going into and producing more of that high-quality goods. So China and India and so on, I would love to send my students there. They have an assignment in my course. They are luxury hunters. They are meeting sleeping beauties, They go into a shop, they see something, And they realized this is a fantastic product with a fantastic craftsman. If only we could help them a little bit with the management, it could expand into a luxury business. That's our take on it. So, Picasso was never ashamed that he was less successful than Mickey Mouse, huh?
In fact, since you're mentioning me about this, one industry that really is striking me is the auction industry.
Oh.
And when I mention the auction industry is from London, which have really dominated down and back.
Yeah.
But then if you know, in these times, how much are these industries able to expand their business? Because
nicely, my friend. And this is, the argument is art is something, it should be industrialized. You must industrialize everything. It's mass marketing, The book I'm teaching is a very successful, this one. I teach, of course, my own book, but I also have another book by Cap Bastien from Paris. They are ex-CEO of Dior and a professor of HEC in Paris. Their book, the name of the book is very good. It's called Luxury Strategy. How to break the rules of marketing. Forget about marketing, forget about business management, as we know it, but do business in another way with the art and the artist.
The disruptive business will come and say.
Yeah, but it's another way of thinking. But it doesn't mean that you are bound to become some kind of poor fellow supported by the government. On the contrary, you may actually carve out a very important part of the market for yourself, for your business, and make people realize that beauty and the sublime is something fantastic.
Now, this is where, if you notice, this is something which I entirely agree with you, because I'm also one of the person who says that we don't fight on a zero-sum competition of business. We actually fight on a positive competition of business.
But you can't have eternal growth. But okay,
And what will you suggest that, for art industry, has these strategies to be implemented for disruption and an art industry? There are a handful of strategies that you can mention down.
And that's what I'm trying to do in the book.
In this particular book, which is, once again, if I'm just reading it, it's on curating capitalism.
It is, I call it curating because the curators are needed in business. Because they have a feel for how to respectfully present the artist, their artwork, and what they're doing. And guys like this, which we have in European Cultural Parliament, and which I meet them all the time, talented young people who could do this job, they should be the spokesman of the art world, of the artist in business, in industry. And then, the managers are all the time very interested. Have a manager meet a good, successful manager, meet a good, successful artist. They're always getting communication. No problem.
Could you share as one case, just to make it a little more in detail about one particular product and how this strategy worked for this particular product in the art industry?
Okay, I had a doctoral student. I wanted him to investigate this, what you're speaking of. So I sent him down to a little furniture manufacturer out in the woods in southern Sweden. And the guy was called Sven Lund. That was the manufacturer. He owned the factory, and he did very successfully sell furniture. The guy went down and interviewed him. And his questions was like, what is your strategy? What is your business plan? How do you think of markets and stuff like that? He came back so disappointed. And I said, why are you disappointed? He said, well, I sat with this manager, very successful manager and owner of his own factory. And I couldn't talk to him, couldn't speak to him. Why didn't you ask this question? Yeah, but he didn't want to speak about strategy. What did he say? Because you spent a day together with him. Yeah, I did. And the strange thing, all the time he was talking to me about Marcel Duchamp, French Dadaist artist in the 30s, 40s, 50s. So you go into a factory, an industry, and you meet the guy who owns the industry, who's very successfully selling his own product, and the only thing he has in his head is this Marcel Duchamp. So how did that work? Well, it worked in the sense whenever he, the manager, had a problem, say, what is my strategy going to be? How am I going to do the advertising? How am I communicate? He asked himself, what would Marcel Duchamp have said? You could think of people having Picasso in his head, said, okay, I have a problem, management problem. How would Picasso do about this? Or how would any kind of artist do it? This was his reference. And his management school of this man, of whom he made a fantastic dissertation, by the way, which you could read. Now, unfortunately, you have to read the Swedish. He must translate it. But anyway, I mean, the head of this manager, successful manager, was full of one artist and his love for his art and his way of doing his artistry.
That's, in fact, like, because the moment you have been speaking this, what I can actually derive from your thoughts, your lectures, and your guidance is largely about how art needs to focus on value maximization. And
that's in management talk. But I know what you think. But you cannot walk up to an artist and say, are you interested in value maximization? Say, fuck off. Huh? But he's doing things that are increasing in value, in price all the time. Yeah. No, but you're right. Yeah. So, I mean, that is what we look for. So what we do, we go out with artists and go to museums and European Cultural Parliament and meet people and try to see how do they, in your terms, increase value. Yeah.
But what happens in the case if for a struggling artist who's on the bottom of the pyramid, because he's born talented, born creative, but then he also needs to make his ends meet. Now he cannot keep the price and the value higher, and thereby he struggles to enter inside. Mm-hmm. And sustaining is a very difficult thing, because like the challenge is every day he needs to, for example, when you mentioned about the person who wanted to start the furniture business, in the beginning phases it's a struggle. Obviously, once we achieve the a little bit of a success comes down with the growth which comes down, it's going to be different.
You asking this question, and I can spur behind your question that actually the answers you could find if you talk to someone who spoke about industry and business. So you ask someone speaking being an industrialist or a businessman or corporate person, and you ask him, what are you going to do with the people down in the bottom of the pyramid? Do you think they can answer this question? Why should we answer this question? I can tell you that actually the art schools and the artists usually and the art collectors, they are all the time on the look for talented young people. Meanless, but with an idea and with a will to do something beautiful, helping them all the time. I would suspect that actually the average industrialist or manager is not at all a patron in the sense that the average artist or the average art collector is.
Now, I have one last question.
Okay.
Just because, this is because since your return this influencing the impact of art and you also speaking on capitalism, it really is one of the topics that I need to have you for many sessions which are there. Like we need to have engaging conversations.
It's a big conversation.
Yes, it's a very huge conversation. But if I may just touch upon one of the questions, which is also the concern of the different artists that we pick up. The question is that today we live in times where the challenge for artists and the whole technicians is that the digitization has come inside. Now the digitization and the impact which has come inside has also led to many platforms where there is a duplication, counterfeiting, and other challenges of the AI which was there. How do you see this in these world of times?
I see, the question about AI is fantastic, but it's completely ahistorical. Techniques has been discussed, I imagine, since the beginning of our time. And an artist, when he sits down with his colleagues, he doesn't discuss whether the brush is big or fat, whether the paint is in a tube or it's mixed. AI and technology, it's a means. Of course you could do fantastic things, but it's you who are doing the things. And when you're not, people won't be interested in seeing what you're doing because they will say, this is communication. Yeah, I have heaps of communication. This is advertising. Yeah, I know that. This is social media. Oh, I have thousands of pictures. But they're not stopping at the museum or talking to an artist. Hey, you did this. Tell me about that. Show me about this one picture. Let's speak about it for an hour and not look at it and, So, fine technology. But don't focus on that when you speak about art or, healthcare or poverty. Because, this is marketing for the tech firms, and they're doing marketing very well themselves. They're having us speak about this all the time.
I should... one of the main reasons why I put down questions on relating to this was because I wanted to challenge your idea of capitalism. But then if you ask me, on one side, I'm also one of the persons who stands on this side because I have seen across. I believe that capitalism is what drives inside. Value maximization is what drives inside. I don't believe in the low cost, low end. But then one thing is disruptive times and disruptive changes are the only thing which is there, and the low cost disruption is the only challenge which is there. And yes, you want.
No. I'm just very interested in meeting you talking about this, because I understand that capitalism in Austria, where we are now, could be very different. Capitalism in France could be very different. Capitalism in India is a continent, come on, with all the different departments and regions and so on. So how is capitalism in Kerala? How is capitalism in Tamil Nadu? How is And I think capitalism is not one big thing you have to adapt to the rules. But and Schumpeter, the economist, he told us that break the rules. That's a possibility. So let's take this possibility. And we live inside this monster, so let's go in and infect it and do good things.
Wonderful. In fact, before we end this in a couple of minutes, I should also share you, because when you were explaining me, there were many cases which were running behind my mind, which was there. Because I remember one of my students, I gave her a project to start up a business, and I told her that it's you start a business and utilize any digital platforms and start selling your product. And see, everybody had different ideas. This girl made beautiful arts. The arts were caricatures, funny arts she came with. And she was selling down at a very high price in Etsy, which is one more digital platform that has emerged down. And she started making, she said, I've already sold 2 arts and I made so much of money. The money seemed bigger for a student, which was around 150 euros or something, which she charged out. But then again, like she says, I did charge across.
But she got the idea herself.
Yeah.
She had the talent of doing this fantastic drawings, And then it was a good technology for diffusing it.
Excellent. And so, I think what I'm going to do is I'm also going to recommend this book down to my viewers who are there. And largely we discuss on different topics with students. And at some point of time, if I would love to even bring you inside for a talk with the students virtually, digitally.
And you got a chapter on luxury. Yeah.
Do you sell this on any platforms where the students can also read this thing?
Yes, it's sold, it's distributed in America by MIT Press. It's in Germany, Sternberg Press, which is a German, English-German kind of publishing house. So we sell it there.
Do you also use the Amazons on the digital platform like Kindle?
Yeah.
Kindle.
Well, I imagine. My publisher is doing this. And the good thing about it, it looks like this. It is a layout which is done by the Sternberg Press. They usually make art books. But the good thing with that is that they don't price them so extremely high like these, big publishers are doing. So if I give it out to Rutledge or wherever, Prentice Hall or something like that, this will cost I imagine, $40, $50 or pounds. And you get it for, I think it's cheap. Buy it immediately. Very cheap. Not more than $15 or something like that. That's a bargain.
Thank you, Professor.
Thank you.